Boredom is for ideation that excites you towards execution. That's just my way of saying that you need boredom to give your mind enough time to generate the ideas that actually make you want to do something with your life. This is why it seems like our greatest ideas come to us in places like the shower, though it's in committing to those ideas in real life where we actually give ourselves the opportunities to level up, to become the better versions of ourselves in the way that we want it to be. I thought I would just break it down a little bit for us, so let's go. This is Eden Prairie, the area where I'm currently staying as my adventures continue to unfold in Minnesota. Located southwest of Minneapolis, these suburbs are renowned for their picturesque landscapes, blending urban infrastructure with natural beauty. Being home to numerous parks, lakes, and trails, it offers many opportunities for outdoor recreation. And as such, as we do need to allow for boredom, I tend to do that through long walks. And let me tell you right now that hour-long walks are a cheat code for boredom. They say boredom is the mother of all creativity, so I try to spend as much quality time with her as I can throughout these walks. With the world being as stimulating as it is, it's difficult to truly find time to be alone with my mind, to find myself in a mental environment that can potentially foster great ideas, where I can deeply examine questions such as, how am I doing? Am I where I want to be? Where do I want to go from here? And then, how am I going to get there?
Because you'd think if your mind wanders, you'd be out of focus, but all I can really feel right now is this internal sharpness. I think I'm just a lot more aware of what's going on around me, literally, but also what's happening internally, like how I'm thinking rather than just what I'm thinking.
But when I do get the chance, it's almost like I'm putting in focused efforts in spite of having a wandering mind. I enter this flow state of imagination that temporarily synthesizes everything I've learned recently, but without any constraints, in order to generate solutions, maybe new perspectives, and of course, creative ideas that genuinely excite me to make my life at least 1% better. And I believe that this is a superpower that everyone should tap into. Now, I do want to give you a practical suggestion here because as you create space for boredom, you can't just have ideas, you need to capture them. I would recommend carrying around a pocket notebook or using the Notes app on your phone because as I have a million times before, and I'm sure you have as well, I have straight up forgotten my fantastic and absolutely magnificent idea. For example, the structure and the story arcs of this video were literally developed from the ideas I wrote down on my Notes app during these walks. And if I hadn't done that, then at the very least, I wouldn't have the in-depth details of what I wanted to do. And this video would have sucked. And the more organized you are about it, the better. So for example, for me, I like to split the ideas that I generate into a few separate categories. Some of those being perspectives, which is just like general philosophies. Another one being fitness, self-explanatory. And the one I probably use the most, which is YouTube video ideas / filmmaking. This is going to let you go back and make the most out of your time being spent bored, because what you'll find is that more often than not, the ideas that you generate won't become relevant immediately, but rather sometime later down the line. And if you can make this a lifelong habit, and I say this coming from experience, I promise you that your life will level up much more frequently. However, there is one more beautiful element that boredom allows us to tap into: the quiet. We truly don't realize how burnt out, strained even, our minds are as the world blasts us with needless stimuli 24/7. As I go for these walks again and again, I'm usually listening to a podcast, every once in a while to some lo-fi music, but to accentuate this idea of being bored, as I film these walks for a few days, I listen to nothing. No cell phone, no headphones, nothing. I've done this before, but never for a few days straight. And what I found incredibly interesting was that the difference was massive.
You know, when life feels quiet, it seems like living is worth a lot more.
It was in this state of quiet that I found my mind being heavily restored, almost as if my greater intuition was being refined. The world became filled with so much more color, and it felt much more open to possibility. Possibilities that I felt a much deeper desire to make a reality. And though I don't have any real science behind this, if you were to do the same, I believe that you would be feeling the same thing, that same internal power. And I hope you take advantage of it. All that's left to do now is to execute, to bring to life some degree of that idea. And execution is essentially made up of two very simple things: consistency and intensity. Consistency, as you probably already know, is the pace of your commitment. How often do you work on the new idea, and for what period of time? Intensity is the quality of your efforts. Are you putting in concentrated efforts into tasks that directly drive your idea forward? Are you improving with each iteration? A straightforward example of this would be the gym. I usually go to the gym around 5 a.m., but for the sake of filming these workouts for the next few days, I woke up around 2 a.m. while also, once again, listening to nothing. But I am never working out at ungodly hours ever again. It's not worth it. 100% not worth it. But the gym is by far the best example of execution. At first, working out is a fantastic idea. You lift weights, you admire your growing physique, build real confidence. At some point, others start admiring your physique, you become stronger, you move faster. Though sooner or later, it becomes incredibly monotonous. You lift, you eat, and then you rest for weeks on end. It truly can be, at times, boredom personified. But it's at this point where execution truly begins. It is when the repetitiveness kills your excitement that the strength of your dedication is tested, and your ability to make improvements can be amplified. As you almost have nothing between now and making your ideas a reality outside of the work itself. And if you can keep up the intensity during this phase, you'll find that it's virtually impossible for you to not be better than you ever were before in any realm, with any idea. And now I want to give you a little bit more clarity here, because the discipline of execution, doing the hard work even when you don't want to, comes in many different forms of inputs and pacings. Here are a few graphics that kind of show this, but the point is that you want to do the work often enough with at least a minimal amount of focused effort, and in that, never miss more than 2 days at a time. Because half a discipline is momentum, and half of momentum is consistency, which we also know now is half of execution. All of these elements cycle into one another, and you want to tap into that upward spiral. But there is one more underlying factor of execution that truly just takes it home. Throughout the process of executing on your ideas, the truth is that it doesn't always feel great. In fact, if you continue for long enough, you'll find that more often than not, it can be incredibly mundane, sometimes even to the point of being demotivating. You'll break on your commitment to the idea, habit, or whatever it is. You'll maybe give in to some type of exhaustion, or worse, find any distraction to simply not do the work. But that's when you realize it truly just comes down to this: how bad do you want it?
I'm not a very disciplined person.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's just like wanting it that bad, and like looking at yourself every day and just like wanting more out of yourself.
Execution isn't just about bringing your ideas to life. It's also about knowing why you do what you do. And when you're able to have that clarity, that clear vision, a reason that will always drive you in the direction that you want, taking action, no matter the circumstance, will become a part of your existence as a whole. And that is a trait worth nurturing. It seems like many of us see boredom as a negative influence, as an indicator that our lives are dull or unproductive. But I found the opposite to be true. Boredom is the reoccurring starting line for what can make life truly exciting, for opening up the time to discover the ideas that can make us better than we ever were before in ways that we find deeply fulfilling.
Getting that snowstorm filmmaking on lock.
And once again, we meet boredom in the phase of execution, though this time, not as a blast of creativity, but as a test of our resilience. Your boredom is effectively the gatekeeper of the next level of your life, so take the time to stay with it. Like I said in the very beginning, boredom is for ideation that excites you towards execution. Use that as a fresh perspective to strategically reframe boredom to your advantage. It's all you. Anyways, if you like this video, you'll like this one for sure. Subscribe because I'd love to have you. Link below for my free ebook if you want to learn to make cinematic YouTube videos. And as always, let's skyrocket.